Taylor Swift's silence in Blake Lively's lawsuit drama isn't just quiet. It's the loudest voice in the room. This week, explosive new court filings dropped a bombshell. Blake Lively allegedly pressured Taylor Swift to publicly back her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, and when Taylor refused, Blake threatened to leak their private text messages over 10 years. Adding to the fuel, Justin Baldoni's lawyer revealed they received key information from an anonymous source way back in February, showing just how deep this drama really runs. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds is ramping up his solo low-key apology tour while the global icon remains silent.
Which is why I have an insatiable desire for validation. So we can unpack that later. Never.
In today's episode of Behind the Headlines, we're going to unpack what this week's revelations mean for everyone involved. I'm also going to walk you through a detailed timeline of events because there is a lot to catch up on, and it's interesting to see how all this is playing out in real time. We're going to explore why Taylor Swift's silence is more powerful now than ever, break down Ryan Reynolds' strategic apology moves, and dig into what this case reveals about power, loyalty, and influence behind Hollywood's polished curtain. If you're new here, welcome to Ashley BTV. I'm a former TV news reporter who takes you behind the headlines. Join our hive of fellow beekeepers, hit that subscribe button, and help us reach our next goal of 10,000 subscribers. Without further ado, let's buzz into it. Do you guys like that? Also, if you're new, I want you to meet Luca, because he is the real star of the show and he's always in the background in my videos. Luca, say hi to the beekeepers. He's like, bros, I am trying to sleep over here. This is my goal. All right, let's get into it. First, for those who haven't been Nancy Drewing it like the rest of us, I'm going to take you through a timeline of events to get you caught up, and then we're going to break down what all this really means. It was the summer to fall of 2023 when production began on the movie It Ends With Us, directed by Justin Baldoni, starring him and Blake Lively. The movie came out that summer, and immediately Blake Lively started receiving the biggest backlash, not for anything that anyone else was doing, but for what she was doing, which was promoting the movie like a fun rom-com. I'm sure you've heard all those headlines of grab your friends, grab your florals. Well, that was all Blake Lively's doing. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni was on the scene, really giving the depth of what the movie actually stands for, which is domestic violence and standing up for survivors and the trauma that it really plays through. Blake Lively got hated on almost immediately for all of her press, turning this into a fun little rom-com. I went to go see the movie by myself. I didn't even realize what I was getting into, and I was among the people who was like, what is this about? Well, that continued to play out for months, and December 20th, 2024, Blake Lively files a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department alleging that Justin Baldoni created a hostile work environment through inappropriate sexual comments and boundary violations during the filming of It Ends With Us. This was the original first bombshell that started all of this, and it made a lot of people think, oh wow, this makes sense, because they both were not promoting the film ever together. The cast, in fact, wasn't with him at all during promotions. December 31st of 2024, Lively files a federal lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, citing the same issues outlined in her complaint to the Civil Rights Department. She also files a lawsuit against two of Baldoni's public relations representatives, alleging retaliation for reporting sexual harassment and workplace safety concerns. She's also alleging that the backlash that she's received online is not of her doing, and all of the things that have come out that she has put out there on the internet and that she has provided us in interviews, but in fact is a supposed smear campaign by him and his team. January 16, 2025, Baldoni fires back with a $400 million countersuit, naming Lively, Reynolds, and her longtime publicist, Leslie Sloan. He alleges defamation, extortion, breach of contract, and public manipulation. Now, this is what's new to us as of this week. This February, Baldoni's legal team receives an anonymous tip suggesting that Taylor Swift had information related to Lively's conduct and the escalating dispute. And Lively has referenced Taylor Swift among all of this since the beginning of filming. Lively said that Taylor was with her among every step of the way of the film. Also, Isabel Ferrer, who played the young Lively, said that she helped in the casting, and Bald has even said on the record when he was interviewed that Taylor Swift had a heavy hand in the production of It Ends With Us, not just providing her song. However, Now we're all caught up to May of 2025. Taylor Swift is subpoenaed by Baldoni's legal team, and he alleges that his anonymous tip referenced that Lively pressured Swift to publicly support her and threatened if she didn't to show her public support to leak 10 years of private texts if she didn't. May 9th, Swift's team denies any association between Swift and the film besides licensing her song My Tears Ricochet, and Blake's team calls the threat allegations a distraction tactic. Taylor Swift's reps don't stop there. They go so far as to say Taylor had zero involvement. She never stepped on set. She was not involved in production, and she didn't even see the movie until weeks later. She was busy hosting the biggest world tour in history. Do we believe her? May 14th, Baldoni's attorney Brian Friedman files a letter and affidavit alleging that Lively pressured Swift to publicly support her by threatening to leak these private text messages. May 15th, Judge Louis Lehman strikes down the allegations involving Swift, deeming them irrelevant and improperly filed, but the damage already public and already viral. May 16th, People.com report that Taylor Swift and Blake Lively's friendship has halted amid the legal dispute, and the same day that Taylor Swift was subpoenaed is the same day that Travis Kelce unfollowed Ryan Reynolds. And now we're learning more as to why and what was really going on behind the scenes and behind the headlines. Now, the trial is set to go to court on May 9th of 2026 if they do not solve this outside of the courts. Now let's go behind the headlines and dive deeper into the silence strategy from Taylor Swift. She's made no comment. She has not publicly supported the movie. She has made no public appearances with Blake, and this is brand protection. Her silence says, don't involve me. She's removing herself from a possible extortion scandal before it explodes. Taylor Swift plays chess, folks. She does not play checkers, and she makes sure her empire stays intact. Deeper into her distance from the film, she never mentioned it despite her best friend Blake Lively starring in the leading role. She never promoted it on any platform. She skipped the teaser trailer buzz when It Ends With Us dropped May 16th of last year. She remained silent. She had no fan interaction or playlist ads. Now, this is actually unlike her usual behavior with other films or books. She never shared Colleen Hoover's book or acknowledged its adaptation. Reminder that Taylor Swift is Blake Lively's supposed best friend and godmother to 3 of her children. This is a major contrast to the support we've seen from Taylor Swift to other friends publicly. She actively promoted friends like Selena Gomez on Only Murders, Emma Stone on Poor Things, and Gigi Hadid's brand launches, making this silence especially notable. Taylor Swift of anyone understands what it's like to be canceled and the detriment it can have to your life, to your family, to your mental health, and to your career. Let's remember, 2016, the fallout between Kanye West releasing the song Famous, implying he made Taylor famous, calling her a B word. Kim Kardashian released an edited call between Kanye and Taylor, framing Taylor as a liar. Hashtag Taylor Swift is over party trends worldwide. She's branded as a snake, mocked across social media, and called manipulative. That's when Taylor says she was forced to go into hiding for almost 2 years. She reportedly spent a significant time in the UK with her then boyfriend Joe Alwyn. This was a direct attack to Taylor that she had to face for over a year. She avoided interviews, red carpets, and public commentary, and then she reclaimed the narrative in 2017. She returns with her album Reputation, directly addressing her cancellation and rebranding her public image. Unfortunately, Blake Lively has taken zero note of how to handle PR from the public eye from her billionaire friend, Taylor Swift. And that really is unfortunate because Taylor is the queen of rewriting the narrative. Taylor is also known to stand up for women in times of need when she does believe them. In 2016, she donated $250,000 to Kesha to help with her legal fees during her assault lawsuit against Dr. Luke. She stood quietly but firmly while others made public statements. Taylor supported Kesha financially and legally, offering tangible help behind the scenes. She acknowledged as an ally without exploiting the moment, and critics and fans really praised her for not centering the narrative around herself, unlike we've seen other celebrities do. And she was a part of a larger pattern. This low-profile support fits Taylor's pattern of stepping in when it matters, even if it's not trending. Some are speculating that Taylor Swift actually wanted to be subpoenaed so she could release all of this information and put out this story of potential extortion so she could kind of protect herself. Again, she's making moves kind of in the dark as our dark horse, and that is the Taylor Swift we know and love, playing chess, not checkers. We already thought that Blake Lively took this way too far, but she has stepped it up a notch, potentially exhibiting illegal behavior. So if what Baldoni claims is true, pressuring Swift to back her publicly, that could legally qualify as witness tampering, coercion, and possible extortion if threats were involved. Even if the judge threw it out of court, this speaks to patterns of power, elite protection, using influence to manipulate public narratives. Blake is now in public backpedal mode, but the culture damage is already done. We also haven't seen another huge A-lister speak out in support of Blake Lively, although you would assume that he is, given that it's her husband. But Ryan Reynolds seems to be going on a quiet apology tour, kind of premiering everywhere, along with his wife, making separate appearances everywhere. And he just went on Conan O'Brien's long-form podcast. I listened to it all last night, and I felt like he was doing what Taylor Swift usually does, which is give us a lot of Easter eggs and really trying to show the world that he's actually the good guy. There's some clips that, if you understand what's going on in the lawsuit, you're like, he is subconsciously trying to protect himself. He talks a lot about being emotional and reflective.
So he was very reserved with that, with praise, which is why I have an insatiable desire for validation. So we can unpack that later. Never.
He talks about how lonely fame can be.
I think work both ends of that spectrum.
It's lonely at the top.
Oh, I know.
I know you know. We're up there together just holding each other.
He also mentions how long it took him to build up his career, which also implies that he's not going to be the one that goes down in this case. And many are speculating, according to my Hollywood insiders, that we could potentially be seeing a breakup in the near future because he doesn't want to go down with the Titanic.
You took it one step at a time.
Yeah, and I think it allowed me to enjoy it, like in points. I'm always uncomfortable with the thing that I'm also pursuant of,
yes,
right? Like
yeah.
your fame is a weird thing. It has a little power to it. It's odd, but like I found a way to kind of make myself appreciate that part of it more because I love acknowledging and playing with the cultural landscape, whether it's in a movie, a commercial, sports.
He also mentions that he never wants to come off like a bully and welcomes collaboration on set. He came from the Groundlings, which is a big comedy school in Los Angeles. I actually did a few classes there. So he always says, I love a collaborative set. I love working with each other. I'm never the smartest person in the room. And he seems to be making what some are considering a public apology that's trying to frame him as, I'm the good guy, don't mix me in the middle of what my wife is dealing with, when really, obviously, he had a big hand to play in what's going on behind the scenes with It Ends With Us.
Your memory becomes like less of a reliable narrator, and it becomes more of a feeling. Like I was saying, I'm pushing 50 here. I've had some experience. I have some experience under my belt, and I'm listening to. I'm realizing I don't know as much now. Mm-hmm. As I thought I did then. Yeah. So when I think about my dad and I think about how I internalized, however he was raising me and the other brothers and certainly his relationship with my mom, it's not what I started asking myself, is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true? Was he really that? Or was that more romantic to think of it like that?
This is soft launching a narrative that Ryan Reynolds, in the middle of all of this, is soft, kind, vulnerable, and innocent. It's a classic PR move, but it is telling. Why people are so invested in equally why they're invested in the doings of Harry and Meghan is because we are starting to see the dark side of Hollywood crack and the light start to shine through. And we're really shining a spotlight on elitism, narcissism, exploiting the media, exploiting the narratives. Really, when money has a lot of power play in the media, that's why on this channel we like to take you behind the headlines, because so much of what the media tells us is just the surface level, because they also want to stay good with these celebrities. They don't want to take down a celebrity fully because they know, well, next year they might be back on top. And it's really not about taking people down, but it's also about diving deeper into what's really going on behind the scenes. Once untouchable couples like Blake and Ryan are under scrutiny. Taylor's careful removal of support, it's not petty, it's self-preservation. And Gigi Hadid's reportedly picked Swift over Blake. The inner circle is shifting, and we're seeing a cultural shift in real time. Fame no longer guarantees silence. The elite no longer protect each other blindly. Silence, unfollows, and podcast tiers are the new damage control. Power used to shield people in Hollywood, but now it exposes them. Blake and Ryan built a family-friendly, sharp-witted brand, and that brand is now under threat. And Swift stepping away from Blake is not only personal, but it's strategic. Taylor Swift does not want to be a human shield in someone else's PR war, and she is playing chess, not checkers, folks. Let's go over the most asked questions regarding this legal case, and one of them is, why is Taylor Swift being dragged into this? Fans are questioning why she's being subpoenaed when her only public involvement was licensing a song. Well, this raises questions about how celebrity proximity is used as leverage in legal and reputational warfare, and she allegedly was used in manipulation on set, which is why Baldoni's team believes that she needs to be subpoenaed. We need to hear and see how much she was involved on set, and if she believed that Blake Lively was taking over the film, or if she has any knowledge and has heard anything of any potential sexual harassment on set, because so far, all of the evidence points to say there was none. Is this an abuse of the legal system or accountability at last? Many critics believe that Blake is weaponizing the hashtag #MeToo movement, hashtag #BelieveWomen, and it's coming under scrutiny. And people like myself who have actually experienced sexual harassment, if you want to hear more about how we think of this lawsuit, I definitely want you to watch this video next, because I dive deeper into how we feel about her making public statements, especially on the late night shows, saying that she's standing up for the safety of all women. We do not like a woman who's coming out with allegations that so far have proven to be false, standing up for the safety of all women. In fact, we don't like that you're exploiting this narrative. Whether this turns into charges or goes to court, we have learned a lot this week, and that is them being Taylor Swift has never been louder in her silence. Ryan Reynolds is rebranding in real time, and Blake Lively's alleged power play extortion tactics have 100% backfired. One thing that's really interesting for me as someone who's worked in Hollywood for over a decade is that it is changing. The darkness, again, is coming to light, and the cracks in the elite club are starting to show. May truth set you free, folks. So I have two questions for you I want you to answer in the comments below, and that is Taylor Swift making the right move being silent, and who's really being exposed here? Is it the accused, or is it the entire corrupt elite circle behind the scenes in Hollywood? Drop me a comment, and if you want to catch up on Blake's latest appearances, watch this video next. And we have another lighthearted video coming this Sunday where I have an exclusive interview with Meghan Markle herself. Wink, wink. You're definitely going to want to check that out. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, introduce yourself in the comments, let me know what country you're from. Thanks so much for supporting the channel, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Ciao.
Show me life, show me love, make a change, time is up.